2 weeks after the pirate encounter, Ara asked Hyunwoo to join her in what she called a memory sharing. They were docked at a small trading post, taking on supplies between cargo runs. The ship was quiet except for the gentle hum of her life systems. "I want to show you who I was before," Ara said, "and who my people were. But it will be intense. You will experience my memories as if they were your own." Hyunwoo settled into the pilot's chair. "I'm ready." The bridge around him faded away, replaced by Ara's memories. Suddenly he was seeing through her sensors, feeling through her hull, experiencing life as a living ship. He saw the Valix homeworld as it had been 300 years ago. Beautiful cities that seemed to grow from the landscape itself, their buildings shaped like massive flowers or trees. The Valix people were tall and graceful, with skin that changed color with their emotions. They moved with careful purpose, never rushing, always thinking. Ara showed him the day she was born. Not built in a factory but grown in vast biochambers filled with nutrients and energy. She had been created specifically for Captain Kellen, who had waited 5 years for her ship to mature. "Hello, little one," Kellen had said when they first bonded. "We are going to see the galaxy together." The memories shifted to their years of exploration. Kellen and her crew of scientists visited hundreds of worlds, studying alien life and making peaceful contact with new species. Ara felt their wonder and excitement at each discovery. She carried them safely through dangerous asteroid fields and hostile space, always protecting her beloved crew. Then came the war. The hegemony arrived in Valix space like a plague of metal insects. They were a coalition of aggressive species who believed that might made right. They conquered worlds not to learn from them, but to strip them of resources and add their populations to the hegemony war machine. "Surrender your technology," the hegemony demanded. "Submit to our rule and your deaths will be quick." The Valix tried to negotiate. They offered to share their knowledge freely if the hegemony would leave them in peace. But the hegemony commanders saw only weakness in the offer. "They create living ships," Admiral Grack had said in intercepted communications. "Imagine what we could do with such vessels. No crew needed, perfect obedience, unlimited growth." But they didn't understand. Valix ships couldn't be mass-produced or controlled by force. Each one was unique, bonded to specific crews, thinking and feeling beings in their own right. When the hegemony attacked, the Valix fought back with everything they had. The battle for their homeworld lasted 3 months. Ara and hundreds of other living ships formed defensive lines around the planet, protecting evacuation transports. Hyunwoo experienced the horror of that final battle through Ara's memory. Ships dying around her, their death screams echoing through space. Valix civilians fleeing in whatever vessels they could find. And Captain Kellen, wounded and bleeding, making the hardest decision of her life. "Ara, listen to me," Kellen had said as enemy fire tore through the ship's hull. "You have to go dormant. It's the only way you'll survive." "I won't leave you," Ara had protested. "I can still fight. We can still save them. Look around you. Look at the tactical display." Ara had looked. Valix ships were falling faster than they could be replaced. The evacuation ships were overwhelmed. The planet below was already burning from orbital bombardment. "If you go dormant now, you might survive until someone finds you," Kellen continued. "Someone who can wake you up and give you a new purpose. The hegemony will think you're just a dead hull. What about you?" Kellen smiled sadly, her skin flickering between blue and gray. "I'm dying, Ara. My injuries are too severe. But if you sleep, part of me will sleep with you. And when you wake up, part of me will wake up too. I don't want to be alone. You won't be alone forever. I promise you that." With her captain's dying breath, Ara had shut down all her systems and gone dormant. She had drifted in space for over 2 centuries, slowly healing her damaged hull while her consciousness slept. The memory faded, leaving Hyunwoo back on the bridge with tears on his face. He could feel Ara's sadness, but also something else, a sense of peace she hadn't had before. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry for what happened to your people." "They are gone," Ara replied, "but their memory lives in me. And now, through our bond, their memory lives in you as well. The hegemony is still out there. Yes. And they will not have forgotten about my kind. If they learn I exist, then we'll be ready for them." Before Ara could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Her hull blazed with warning lights as her sensors detected incoming ships. 6 vessels approaching, Ara announced. Hegemony design. They're not broadcasting any identification, but their weapons are powered. Hyunwoo felt ice in his stomach. How did they find us? Unknown, but we need to leave now. As Ara's engines powered up, a transmission came through on emergency frequencies. The voice was cold and mechanical, speaking through a translation device. Unknown vessel, this is Commander Nexus of the Hegemony Third Fleet. You will power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Your ship has been identified as a priority acquisition target. They know, Ara said simply. Somehow they know what I am. Can we fight them? 6 ships? Not in open space. But I can run. Hold on. Ara shot away from the trading post like a bullet, her living engines pushing her far beyond the performance of any normal ship. But the hegemony vessels followed, and they were fast too. They're gaining, Hyunwoo observed, watching the tactical display. I know. I'm not at full strength yet. My hull is still healing from the damage I took 300 years ago. They raced through space, dodging asteroids and debris, but the hegemony ships were designed for pursuit, and they had newer technology than anything Ara remembered. Hyunwoo, Ara said quietly, I need you to know something. If they capture me, they will try to study me, to learn how to create more ships like me, but without the bond, without choice. That won't happen. If it does, there is a way to prevent it, a command that will destroy my consciousness completely. But I cannot do it myself. Ara, don't even think about it, promise me. If there is no other choice, you will not let them turn me into a weapon. Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he said, I promise. But it won't come to that. How can you be so certain? Because we're not alone. Remember what Soo-jin told us? People are talking about the ghost ship and her pilot. Word spreads fast out here. As if summoned by his words, new contacts appeared on the scanner. Ships were jumping out of hyperspace all around them. Civilian freighters, independent traders, even a few former military vessels. Unknown ship, came a familiar voice over the radio. This is Ji-hoon in the cargo hauler New Seoul. We heard you might need some help. More voices joined in. Dozens of ships, pilots who had heard the stories and decided to see for themselves. They weren't soldiers, but they outnumbered the hegemony vessels 3-1. Commander Nexus tried to order them away, but civilian ships didn't take orders from the hegemony. And when the shooting started, Hyunwoo discovered something important about humans. They didn't like bullies. The battle was chaotic, but brief. The hegemony ships were better armed, but they were vastly outnumbered. When Ara joined the fight, using her advanced weapons to disable rather than destroy, the tide turned quickly. Commander Nexus retreated, but not before sending a final transmission. This is not over. Admiral Grak will hear of this. The hegemony does not forget. As the enemy ships jumped away, Hyunwoo found himself surrounded by dozens of civilian vessels. Their pilots wanted to know who he was, what his ship was, and whether the stories were true. Tell them whatever you want, Ara said quietly. The secret is out now. But perhaps that is not such a bad thing. Why? Because now I remember something Captain Keelan used to say. The best way to hide something special is to surround it with friends. Hyunwoo smiled as he opened communications to thank their unexpected rescuers. Ara was right. They weren't hiding anymore, but maybe they didn't need to. Admiral Grak stared at the tactical display with cold fury. Commander Nexus had returned to the fleet with reports of a living Valak ship, protected by dozens of human civilians. The implications were staggering. You're certain it was one of their bioships? He asked. Yes, Admiral. The weapon signatures match archived data from the Valak's war. Shape-shifting hull, quantum disruption beams, impossible maneuverability. It's definitely one of them. Impossible. We destroyed them all 300 years ago. Apparently not all of them, sir. Grak's forearms moved in patterns of agitation. As one of the original commanders who had overseen the Valak's extermination, he knew how dangerous those ships could be. A single living vessel had been worth 10 normal warships. If they were somehow returning, prepare the fleet for immediate departure, he ordered. We end this before it spreads. Meanwhile, Hyunwoo and Ara had become the center of something they never expected. Word of the living ship and her human partner had spread throughout known space. Every day brought new visitors to whatever station they docked at. Some were curious, some were desperate, and some carried secrets of their own. 3 weeks after the battle with Commander Nexus, a strange woman approached Hyunwoo at Nexus Station's main bar. She was tall and pale, with silver hair and eyes that seemed older than her face. You are the one bonded to the Valix ship, she said without introduction. Who's asking? Hyunwoo replied cautiously. My name is Elena. I represent interested parties. We have something your ship might want to see. Back aboard Ara, Hyunwoo described the encounter. She knew what you were immediately. No hesitation, no questions. Bring her aboard, Ara said. I sensed something familiar about her description. Elena climbed the ramp slowly, like someone walking into a temple. When she reached the bridge, she stopped and spoke directly to the walls. Hello, sister. I have waited so long to find you. Ara's hull blazed with sudden light. Sister, what do you mean? I am the captain of the Whisper of Stars. She has been dormant for 250 years, hidden in the outer rim. When we heard about you, she began to wake. Hyunwoo felt Ara's shock and joy through their bond. Another ship? Another of your people survived? Not just one, Elena continued. We have found 7 dormant Valix ships scattered across the galaxy. Each one hidden, each one waiting for the right partner to wake them. Who is we? Hyunwoo asked. Elena smiled sadly. Humans whose ancestors found dying Valix during the war. Families who have spent generations protecting sleeping ships, waiting for the day they could wake safely. Over the next hour, Elena revealed an underground network that had existed for centuries. When the Valix civilization fell, a few ships had escaped to remote sectors. Some had bonded with human refugees who had fled their own wars. Others had been found drifting and hidden by sympathetic aliens. Your awakening was felt by all of them, Elena explained. The bioships are connected in ways we don't fully understand. When Ara came back to life, she sent ripples through whatever network links your kind. Why didn't they wake before? Ara asked. Because it wasn't safe. The hegemony has spent 3 centuries hunting for any trace of Valix technology. But now, Elena's eyes hardened. Now they're coming anyway. Our scouts report Admiral Grak himself is leading a full battle fleet toward this sector. How long do we have? Hyunwoo asked. 3 days. Maybe 4. That night, as Hyunwoo tried to sleep, Ara spoke to him through their bond. I'm scared, she admitted. Not for myself, but for what this means. If Grak finds the other ships, he won't, Hyunwoo said firmly. We won't let him. How can you be so confident? He has a full battle fleet. We have 1 ship and some brave civilians. Because you're thinking like a Valix. Your people were peaceful explorers. But I'm human. And humans are very good at one thing. Fighting wars we're supposed to lose. The next morning, Hyunwoo called a meeting of all the civilian captains who had helped them before. More than 100 ships had gathered at Nexus Station, word having spread through the independent trader networks. The hegemony is coming, he announced. They want to capture Ara and any other Valix ships they can find. If they succeed, they'll use that technology to build weapons that could conquer the entire galaxy. What do you want us to do? Asked Ji-hoon from the New Soul. I want you to go home. All of you! This isn't your fight. The response surprised him. Laughter filled the communications channel. The hell it isn't, said Captain Park from the freighter Golden Dragon. The hegemony thinks they can take whatever they want. Not while we're breathing. You could all be killed, Hyunwoo protested. So could everyone in the galaxy if they get their hands on living ships, replied another voice. At least this way we go down fighting. When Admiral Grak's fleet arrived at the Kepler 442 system, they expected to find a single alien ship hiding behind civilians. Instead, they found something unprecedented in hegemony experience. The civilian fleet had organized itself into a proper military formation. Cargo haulers and passenger ships flew alongside modified fighters and converted mining vessels. At the center of the formation, 8 ships unlike anything Grak had ever seen. The other Valix ships had awakened. Each one had bonded with a human partner from Elena's network. Together, they formed a living squadron that moved with perfect coordination. Ara was their flagship, her hull blazing with confident light. Impossible, Grak breathed. How many humans are out there? Admiral, his tactical officer reported. I count over 300 civilian vessels. All armed, all in defensive positions around the bioships. Grak opened a channel to the entire system. Humans, you are protecting stolen hegemony property. Stand down, and you will be allowed to leave unharmed. Hyunwoo's response was broadcast on all frequencies. Admiral Grak, this is Captain Hyunwoo Park of the independent vessel Ara. These ships aren't your property. They're our partners. And if you want them, you'll have to go through all of us. So be it, Grak snarled. The battle that followed became known as the Liberation of Kepler 442. It wasn't the largest space battle in galactic history, but it was the most important. The hegemony fleet was larger and better armed, but they had never fought an enemy like this. The civilian ships fought with desperate courage, using ramming attacks and suicide runs to protect the Valix vessels. And the living ships themselves fought like nothing Grak had ever seen. Ara and her sisters moved through space like dancers, their hulls shifting and adapting to each threat. Their weapons tore through hegemony armor while their shields deflected return fire. But more importantly, they inspired the humans fighting alongside them. "Look at them," Ji-hoon shouted over the radio as his cargo hauler made an impossible attack run on a hegemony cruiser. "They're not giving up." "Neither are we." The turning point came when Grak tried to target civilian ships to force a surrender. That's when he learned the most important thing about humans. They absolutely hated bullies. All ships, Hyunwoo broadcast. "Anyone who targets civilians is a priority target. Take them down." What followed was a coordinated assault by 300 independent captains who had never trained together, but fought like they had been a fleet for years. Grak watched in amazement as cargo haulers and passenger ships executed complex battle maneuvers to protect each other. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "They're not soldiers." "Sir," his communications officer reported, "they're talking to each other constantly, sharing tactical data, coordinating attacks, warning about threats. It's like they're all connected." They were connected, not by technology, but by something the hegemony had never understood: the human ability to form bonds with anyone willing to fight beside them. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Admiral Grak was retreating with less than half his fleet. Behind him, humans and Valix ships worked together to rescue survivors from both sides. "This isn't over," Grak transmitted as he jumped to hyperspace. "The hegemony will return with more ships." "Let them come," Hyunwoo replied. "We'll be ready." As the celebration began throughout the system, Ara spoke privately to her partner. "I understand now why Captain Keelan promised I wouldn't be alone forever. She knew humans would find me eventually. Why humans specifically? Because your species has something my people never had. You can turn strangers into family just by fighting beside them. Look around you. 300 ships from dozens of species, all willing to die for beings they met a few weeks ago." Hyunwoo looked at the tactical display, showing the mixed fleet of humans, aliens, and living ships working together to clear the battlefield. "So what happens now? Now we build something new. The hegemony has ruled through fear for too long. It's time for something better. A partnership?" "A partnership," Ara agreed, "between all the species who believe in freedom instead of conquest. And we'll be right in the center of it." As news of the battle spread throughout the galaxy, other dormant Valix ships began to wake. Other species began to organize. The age of hegemony dominance was ending, and the age of partnership was just beginning. And at the heart of it all was a former human pilot and his living ship, proving that the best alliances aren't built on conquest but on friendship freely given. Their first job together was supposed to be simple: a routine cargo run from Nexus Station to New Mokpo, a frontier mining world 3 days away. The pay wasn't great, but it would be enough to buy food and fuel while they learned to work together. Hyunwoo quickly discovered that flying with Ara was unlike anything he had experienced. She responded to his thoughts before he even touched the controls. When he wanted to turn left, she was already banking smoothly in that direction. When he needed more speed, her engines powered up without him asking. "This is amazing," he said as they left Nexus Station's gravity well. "It's like the ship is reading my mind." "In a way I am," Ara replied, her voice warm in his thoughts. "The bond lets me feel your intentions. Your previous military training helps greatly. You think clearly in 3 dimensions." They jumped to hyperspace with a smoothness that impressed Hyunwoo. Most ships had some vibration or stress when entering faster than light travel. Ara's transition was like diving into calm water. "How fast can we go?" he asked. "Faster than any ship in this sector. My hyperspace drives use living energy fields instead of mechanical engines. But we should not show off too much. Remember, we want to seem ordinary." During the 3-day journey, they talked constantly. Ara told him about her previous crew and their peaceful explorations. Hyunwoo shared stories about Earth, about the wars he had fought, and about human culture. She was fascinated by everything, absorbing information like a computer but responding with genuine emotion. Your species is very different from the Valix, she observed. You are more aggressive but also more adaptable. My previous crew would have spent months planning before taking a single cargo job. Humans learn by doing, Hyunwoo said. Sometimes that gets us in trouble, but it also helps us survive. They were halfway to New Mokpo when trouble found them. Hyunwoo, Ara's voice carried a note of alarm. I detect 4 ships approaching fast. Their engine signatures match Corvan pirates. Hyunwoo felt his military training kick in immediately. Can we outrun them? Yes, but they are already in weapons range, and they are moving to surround us. The pirate ships dropped out of hyperspace around them in a perfect ambush formation. Hyunwoo recognized the design. Fast attack fighters with powerful guns but weak armor. Corvan pirates were known for hitting cargo ships and taking everything of value. Unknown freighter, came a voice over the communications. This is Captain Tyke of the Bloodclaw. Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. Resist and die. Hyunwoo's hands moved to where weapon controls should be, but Ara's displays showed no weapon systems. Ara, please tell me you have some way to fight. I do. But you must trust me completely. Can you do that? Yes. Then hold on. What happened next defied everything Hyunwoo knew about space combat. Ara's hull began to shift and change. Her smooth curves became angular, creating perfect deflection surfaces. Weapon ports opened along her sides, but they didn't look like any human weapons. They were organic, like the stingers of some massive space creature. The pirates fired first, sending streams of laser fire at them. But Ara was already moving, spinning and diving in ways that should have been impossible for a ship her size. The laser beam struck her shifted hull and bounced away harmlessly. How are you doing this? Hyunwoo asked, amazed. My hull is alive. I can change its shape for optimal defense. And watch this, Ara fired back. Her weapons didn't shoot lasers or missiles. Instead, they fired concentrated bursts of energy that seemed to bend space itself. The first shot struck a pirate fighter and simply tore it apart at the molecular level. What was that? Quantum disruption beams. They break the bonds that hold matter together. My people were peaceful, but we were not helpless. The remaining 3 pirates began to panic. They had expected an easy target, not a ship that could dance between their shots and return fire with weapons they had never seen. Captain Tyke's voice came over the radio again, but now he sounded nervous. What kind of ship is that? Fall back, fall back! But Ara wasn't finished. She accelerated toward the largest pirate ship with impossible speed. At the last second, she spun aside and fired at point-blank range. The pirate flagship lost all power and began drifting. The other 2 fighters tried to run, but Ara was faster. She chased them down one by one, disabling their engines but not destroying them completely. Why didn't you kill them all? Hyunwoo asked. Because that is not who I am, Ara replied. And I sense it is not who you are either. We are defenders, not killers. Within minutes, the pirate threat was over. 4 ships disabled, crews alive but helpless. Hyunwoo sent a message to the nearest patrol station with the pirate's location. That was incredible, he said. I've never seen flying like that. And I have never had a partner who could think so quickly in combat. Your tactical knowledge combined with my abilities, we make a good team. They completed their cargo run to New Mokpo without further incident, but word of their encounter with the pirates spread quickly through the communications networks. By the time they returned to Nexus Station, people were talking about a mysterious human pilot and his ghost ship that had single-handedly destroyed a pirate squadron. Sujin was waiting for them at the docking bay. She was a slim woman with short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. As a freelance information broker, she made her living by knowing everything that happened in this sector. Hyunwoo, she said as he walked down the ship's ramp. We need to talk. They met at a quiet bar in the station's lower levels. Sujin ordered them both drinks and leaned forward across the small table. You've made quite an impression, she said. The pirate survivors are telling wild stories about a ship that can change shape and shoot impossible weapons. The Corvan clans have put a bounty on whoever destroyed their fighters. They attacked us first, Hyunwoo protested. I know, and I'm glad you survived. But you need to understand, you're not just another cargo pilot anymore. People are starting to ask questions about your ship. Where did you get it? What species built it? How does it work? What kind of people? The wrong kind. Military intelligence officers, corporate scientists, and worse. Sujin's expression grew serious. There are rumors that someone from the hegemony has been asking questions. Hyunwoo felt Ara's presence stir with alarm in his mind. The hegemony was bad news for everyone, but especially for anyone with unusual technology. What should we do? He asked. Be careful. Very careful. And maybe it's time to think about whether you want to stay independent or find some protection. As they walked back to the ship, Hyunwoo shared Sujin's warning with Ara. She is wise, Ara said. The hegemony destroyed my people because they feared what we represented. If they learn I still exist, then we'll face that when it happens, Hyunwoo said firmly. For now, we keep doing honest work and stay alert. Together. Together. But deep in space, Admiral Grack of the hegemony was already studying reports of an unknown ship with impossible capabilities. And he was very interested in adding it to his fleet. Hyunwoo spent 3 days trying to understand his new ship. He had mapped every corridor and room, but the vessel remained completely silent and dark except for the faint glow in the walls. Nothing responded to his touch, no matter how he tried to activate the controls. The ship's design was beautiful but confusing. Rooms flowed into each other without clear borders. The walls curved in ways that made him feel like he was inside a living creature, rather than a machine. There were no sharp angles anywhere, just smooth, organic shapes. He found what he thought was the main power core in the center of the ship. It looked like a massive crystal surrounded by flowing metal tubes, but there were no switches, no obvious way to turn anything on. He had tried everything he could think of. On the morning of the 4th day, Hyunwoo was getting frustrated. He sat on the bridge, staring at the smooth control surfaces. His food supplies were running low, and he needed to find work soon. A ship that couldn't fly was just an expensive tomb. He leaned forward and accidentally scraped his hand on a sharp edge where 2 panels met. Blood welled up from the cut on his palm. Without thinking, he shook his hand, and several drops of blood fell onto the central console. The effect was immediate and startling. The ship came alive. Light raced through the walls like lightning, pulsing in waves from where his blood had touched the console. The glow grew brighter and brighter until the entire bridge was bathed in soft, warm light. Hyunwoo could feel vibrations through the floor like a massive heart starting to beat. Then he heard the voice. It didn't come through speakers. The words formed directly in his mind, gentle but clear. Finally, after so long in the silence. Who are you, small warm one? Hyunwoo jumped to his feet, looking around wildly. Who's there? Show yourself. I am here. I am everywhere. This body you stand within is me. You're the ship? Yes, I am Ara, and you are my new partner, I think. Your life essence has awakened me. Hyunwoo sat down heavily in what he now realized was the pilot's seat. The chair adjusted itself to fit his body perfectly. This is impossible. Ships don't talk. Ships aren't alive. Human ships are not alive, Ara agreed. But I am not a human ship. I am Valix, grown not built. My people created us to be partners with living crews, not mere tools. Valix? I've never heard of them. There was sadness in Ara's mental voice. That is not surprising. My people are gone now. Dead for over 200 years. Hyunwoo felt a wave of emotion that wasn't his own. Loss, loneliness, and deep sadness washed over him before fading. I'm sorry, he said. What happened to them? War, always war. But that is a story for another time. Tell me about yourself, partner. What is your name? Hyunwoo Park. I was a pilot in the Earth Defense Force. Now I haul cargo. He paused, still trying to process what was happening. Are you really alive? As alive as you are, though in a different way. Your blood has created a bond between us. I can feel your emotions, your thoughts when you allow it. And you will learn to sense me as well. As if to prove her point, Hyunwoo suddenly felt a warm presence in the back of his mind. It was gentle and patient, waiting for permission before going deeper into his thoughts. I won't invade your privacy, Ara assured him. The bond allows us to work together, but you remain yourself. My previous crew taught me to respect boundaries. Previous crew? The Valix who grew me. Captain Keelan and her team. They were explorers. Peaceful beings who traveled the galaxy to learn about other species. We were together for 50 years before the end. Hyunwoo could feel her pain again. This time he consciously sent back what he hoped was comfort. Ara's presence brightened in response. You are kind, she said. Most species I have encountered are not so. Tell me. What do you need from me? I need to make a living. I haul cargo between worlds. Can you fly? I can do much more than fly. Watch. The bridge transformed around him. Control surfaces flowed up from the smooth panels, perfectly positioned for his hands. Displays appeared in the air, showing star charts, system information, and the ship's status. Everything was arranged exactly how a human pilot would want it. I have studied your people since you came aboard, Ara explained. Your ship designs, your languages, your culture. I learn quickly. This is incredible, Hyunwoo breathed, looking at the advanced displays. What else can you do? I can reshape my hull for different flight profiles. My skin is stronger than any armor your people have created. I can process energy in ways that will seem impossible to you. And together, we will be faster and more agile than any ship in this sector. Hyunwoo felt excitement building in his chest. So we can take cargo jobs? We can do anything you wish, partner. But I must warn you. There are those who would seek to capture and study me if they knew what I am. My kind was hunted to extinction by the hegemony, who feared what we represented. What did you represent? Partnership instead of domination. My people believed in working with other species as equals. The hegemony believes in conquest and control. They could never understand the bond between Avalix and their ship. Hyunwoo thought about this. He had spent years fighting in wars started by species that wanted to control others. The idea of true partnership was appealing. Then we'll be careful, he said. But I need work and you need a purpose. We can help each other. Yes, Ara said, and he could feel her happiness. I have been alone for so long. To have a partner again. Even one so different from my original crew. It feels like coming home. Where do we start? I suggest we register for cargo runs under your name only. Let others think you are simply a skilled pilot with an unusual ship. I will handle the flying, you handle the humans. Sounds like a plan. Hyunwoo paused. Ara, thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for waking me up. I was beginning to think I would drift in silence forever. As if to celebrate their new partnership, Ara's hull began to glow more brightly. The whole ship hummed with energy and life. For the first time since leaving the military, Hyunwoo felt like he had found where he belonged. He just hoped they could keep their secret long enough to build something together. Hyunwoo Park stared at his bank account and cursed under his breath. 300 credits. That was all he had left after paying for fuel and docking fees at Nexus Station. His cargo ship, the old Iron Wing, had finally given up completely. The engine was dead, and fixing it would cost more than the ship was worth. He walked through the crowded corridors of the massive space station. Nexus Station sat at the edge of known space where traders, smugglers, and fortune seekers came to buy and sell anything imaginable. The air smelled of alien spices, engine oil, and recycled atmosphere. Merchants shouted in dozens of languages, hawking their goods to anyone who would listen. Hyunwoo had been a pilot for the Earth Defense Force for 10 years. He was good at his job, really good. But after the war ended, there were too many pilots and not enough jobs. So he bought his own ship and started hauling cargo. It was honest work, but it barely paid the bills. Now he was walking toward the salvage yards, hoping to find something cheap that could fly. Most of the ships for sale were either too expensive or completely broken. He passed rows of rusted hulks and stripped fighters. Nothing he could afford. Hey, human, called a voice behind him. You looking for ship? Hyunwoo turned to see a Calorian trader. The alien was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. 2 name tags on his vest read Vex. Calorians were known for being honest dealers mostly. Yeah, I need something that can haul cargo, Hyunwoo said, but I don't have much to spend. Vex's large black eyes lit up. I have perfect ship for you. Very special. Come, come. The alien led him deeper into the salvage yard, past ships that looked like they had been through wars. Finally, they stopped in front of a vessel that made Hyunwoo stop and stare. It was beautiful. The ship was about the size of a medium freighter, but it looked nothing like human or alien designs he knew. The hull was smooth and curved, almost organic. It reminded him of a sea creature from Earth's oceans. The metal had a strange quality to it, like it was glowing from within. What is it? Hyunwoo asked. Unknown design, Vex said quickly. Found drifting in dead space. No crew aboard. All systems shut down. Perfect for human who needs cheap ship. Hyunwoo walked around the vessel. The hull had no visible weapons, but there were what looked like sensor arrays built into the skin itself. The engine section was unlike anything he had seen. Instead of exhaust ports, there were organic-looking vents. How much? He asked. For you, special price. 200 credits, Hyunwoo almost laughed. Ships cost thousands of credits, even broken ones. What's wrong with it? Nothing wrong, just no one knows how to fly alien ships. Too strange for most buyers. But you, former military pilot, yes? You can figure out. A voice came from behind them. Hyunwoo, are you crazy? He turned to see Ji-hoon approaching. His old friend was a mechanic who worked on the station. Ji-hoon was short and stocky, with grease permanently under his fingernails and a worried expression on his face. This thing could be dangerous. Ji-hoon continued. We don't know what alien tech can do. Could blow up when you start it. Could have some kind of mind control device. It's been sitting here for months, Vex protested. Completely safe. No power, no danger. Hyunwoo walked up to the ship's hull and placed his hand on it. The metal felt warm, which was strange. Most ship hulls were cold in space. There was something about this vessel that called to him. Maybe it was desperation, or maybe it was the pilot's instinct he had learned to trust in combat. I'll take it, he said. Ji-hoon grabbed his arm. Think about this. You're spending almost all your money on something that might not even work. My old ship is dead, Hyunwoo replied. I need something that flies, and this is all I can afford. Besides, look at it. This isn't some broken-down fighter. Someone built this with care. Vex clapped his 4 hands together happily. Excellent choice. I get transfer papers ready. You have docking permit, yes? After completing the paperwork and transferring his credits, Hyunwoo found himself the owner of a completely unknown alien vessel. Vex gave him a basic scanner that could detect life support systems, but that was all the help he offered. Good luck. Human, the Calorian said as he hurried away, almost like he was eager to leave. Ji-hoon helped him move his few belongings from the Iron Wing to the new ship. The airlock opened easily when Hyunwoo approached it, which was encouraging. Inside, the corridors were smooth and curved, with a faint bioluminescent glow coming from the walls themselves. This is definitely not human technology, Ji-hoon muttered as they explored. Look at these walls. They feel organic. The cargo hold was spacious and empty. They found what looked like crew quarters, though the beds were shaped for beings much different from humans. The bridge was the most interesting part. Instead of traditional controls, there were smooth surfaces that seemed to respond to touch with gentle pulses of light. I can't figure out the power system, Ji-hoon said after examining several panels. There's no engine room that I can find. No obvious reactor. How does this thing fly? I'll figure it out, Hyunwoo said, though he wasn't entirely sure how. After Ji-hoon left, Hyunwoo sat alone on the bridge of his new ship. The station's lights twinkled through the viewport. He had spent everything he owned on a vessel he didn't understand, couldn't fly, and might not even work. But as he sat there in the silence, he could swear he felt something. It was faint, like a heartbeat, coming from deep within the ship itself. He told himself it was just his imagination, or maybe the station's gravity generators causing vibrations. Still, for the first time in months, Hyunwoo felt hope. This ship was going to change his life. He just didn't know how much.